So, a little while back, I challenged myself to run through the main Cyberpunk 2077 campaign using only the weapons you're able to craft from the very beginning of the game. This challenge disallowed the use of things like iconics, grenades, and health items since none are in this pool of basic weapons and attachments. The only other thing I could build were crafting components, but after crafting every weapon I had access to, these all became pretty pointless. Shortly after completing that run, and while working on the video, I decided that I was going to try playing through Phantom Liberty for the first time, using this same set of rules. Since I was already set up for it, and most people online suggested playing it after you've completed the main story, I was going to continue on with my Nomad character that was already outfitted with everything that I needed, rather than grinding back to 15 on a totally new save. Alright, so let's go over the rules one more time, just as a refresher. I'm only allowed to use the weapons and items that are in the pool of craftable items available from the very start of the game. Oh, well, right, I guess that's it. I would be starting off this DLC at level 25, and also, according to the internet, this should be an ample enough level to complete this extra content. The first order of business was actually getting into Dogtown, and to do that, all I gotta do is walk over here, have a mild stroke, and welcome another construct into my mind against my will.
The fuck you doing? This a trap?
It's a trap!
And, oh, hey, Johnny's looking much better these days. It's amazing what good graphics can do to a man. After cutting Johnny off, this new construct goes on to tell me how the president's in danger and that I would be the one in charge of saving her. Like hell I am. Why the fuck should I help you?
I can cure you. Once and for all.
Fair enough. She also jailbreaks my relic to give me access to an assortment of new perks, even giving me one for free. After collecting my free perk, I took an offer I simply couldn't refuse.
You'll slip in the back way, quiet as you can.
Then got a chance to test out my new perk. Once I successfully got past those guys, I get lost in the back rooms for a few minutes, but eventually stumble my way into the heart of Dogtown. And what better way to celebrate than to immediately get game ended by my main objective? Man, what's with this game and feeling the need to either kill or almost kill me right before cutting to the title card? Well, anyway, since I'm still alive, I might as well make my way over to the crash site and follow through on my promise. Oh, and on my way to the crash site, I'm briefly reminded that day one glitches still exist.
I'll be in touch. Godspeed, B.
Songbird warns me not to fight my way through Dogtown since the guys here were practically born in the salty spittoon, but after consuming a bowl of nails without any milk, I was able to prove my strength and wipe the floor with these clowns. I finally managed to make it to the crash site, shoot my way in, and find that the president likes to play rougher than I was expecting. Ma'am, we don't have time for this right now. We need to get you the
Fucking hell.
We're promptly ambushed and forced to stand our ground amidst the blown apart ship, and this wasn't the least bit fun. But I was able to finally mitigate their advances from the safety of this one small piece of cover and took them out by blasting them every chance I could. After our standoff, I get to find out how truly depraved Myers is, and briefly get back in touch with Songbird.
Now's your chance to slip out. Tiptoes recommended.
Only to immediately ignore everything she says and shoot my way out of here as well. Immediately after, running into my first two major hurdles of the run. While waiting for Somi to hack the elevator, Hansen's men caught wind of our location. I have very little cover and basic bitch weapons while these guys have Militech level weaponry? Right, this seems fair. Apparently Songbird was working on something but needed some time, too much fucking time if you ask me. There went 2 hours of my life I'll never get back. The DR-12 Quasar eventually proved to be my bread and butter after speccing back into pistols, and it was here that I realized that this thing did a bonus 175% headshot damage and had 50% armor penetration, yet it still took another hour before I was actually free to move on, only to immediately run into major hurdle number 2.
Motherfucker! Will you just die?
And to think that this DLC couldn't get any more difficult. I never thought I would be considering ending a run so early on. Phantom Liberty wasn't pulling any punches in terms of its difficulty, and I was second guessing myself every step of the way. After several attempts, I realized, like literally any other video game boss, that this Chimera thing had weak spots. This revelation didn't actually help me in any way. I was still relentlessly getting steamrolled. After finally turning the Chimera into a pile of scrap, Myers exposes how I usually end up completing these challenges.
Luck. A pile of luck, V.
And I get my good pal Johnny back, but at the cost of cut communication with So Me.
Guess you got me and only me.
Myers and I head down to the old subway tunnels to keep a low profile while on our way to find a spot to set up camp. After we manage to clear a secluded spot and I've ensured Myers' safety, she then tries to con me into taking a government oath, which, sorry, ain't happening, lady.
Nah, let's skip the formal thing.
I then moved on to Capitan Caliente to make a phone call from a suspicious-looking relic hiding in the back office. Once I had a location and time from my mysterious caller, I was now off to meet up with my own personal deep throat. Meeting up with my mysterious contact at the basketball courts, I get a really warm welcome pressed up against my ribs and a man whispering in my ear. The sexual tension was palpable.
Attaboy.
Once the interrogation was over and I was afforded back my freedoms, I did what I was told and hopped into the passenger seat of my new friend's Thornton.
Attaboy.
I then took Idris Elba back to Myers' safe house to get an exposition dump, then proceeded to wait a few days for Reed to call me back. This time, I'm actually able to just wait out the 2 days in-game before I'm awarded the call. He then gives me yet another time and place to go meet up, to then get even more exposition dumped on me. But hey, at least I got a sneak peek at some cool new cyberware. More story, blah blah blah. Reed's a traitor but he's really not, blah blah blah. He got screwed over too, blah blah blah. He was actually a fall guy, blah blah blah. Fucking story, more story, story. You know, I'm glossing over it now, but while I was playing, these were some of my most cherished moments of the run. Actually, anytime I wasn't in combat was an enjoyable experience. Dogtown? More like dog shit weapons. Through this dialogue with Alex, we do get some valuable information and the name of the coordinates of a well-known voodoo netrunner posted inside Dogtown.
Wilkie Slider Laguerre.
Though, breaking into this place would be no walk in the park. I know I made light work of the voodoo boys back in Pacifica, but these dudes were a different breed. Not only did they outnumber me like 15-1, but their server would frequently attempt to upload one of their demons into my skull, flatlining me instantly. The only way to stop this demon from being uploaded was to shoot the exposed exhaust port, wherever it chose to spawn. There were several locations around the server tower that these would be exposed at, and it was only by sheer luck that I would have any shot of getting through this one. If I'd pushed into the room too fast, I'd die. If I played it too safe, I'd die. There weren't very many options that I knew of to get around this section, nor were there any exploitable aspects to be found. However, there are 3 locations where the exposed exhaust port is easily dealt with from the safety of the first room, and I need to hit 4 of them to destroy the server, which means sooner or later, I'd be forced to enter the room. This is where the luck would come in. The plan was simple: eliminate as many enemies as fast as I possibly could, hoping for any or all of the 3 aforementioned exhaust spawns. I was able to take care of 2 of the ports before some turrets would spawn in, and I'd be forced to enter the server room. Holding my ground just inside this second room full of enemies, I was able to stay alive and get 2 more incredibly lucky exhaust port spawns before clearing the room and locating Slider.
You brought death to Mama Bridget. Will that be your gift for me as well?
Probably. I did get all the information I needed, but lost Slider in the process. Called it. Now all I need to do was find a way into the Black Sapphire, and lucky for me, I had a friend around here that could help. I was now running jobs for Mr. Hansen Dogtown to boost his rep and earn him some more connections. He was my ticket into the big BS. This first job had me regrettably rescuing Hassan Piker from a prison cell that he certainly should have been left in, and man, did I go through far too much trouble for this little shit too.
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it! Aw, dang it! Aw, dang it! Aw, dang it!
I also saved a Ripper Doc from being held at gunpoint.
One shot too many, Scav.
Pretty straightforward. Then I thought I could take out a fucking Terminator, but get proven that I am, in fact, not John Connor. So instead, I decided to complete a completely different job exactly as I was instructed.
Just please try not to wipe Dodger's men. You'll make things go from bad to worse.
After completing these 3 gigs, I finally have the honors of meeting the man behind the hands,
My favorite merc.
drink his artisanal tea, and get the blueprints for the Black Sapphire. Everything was now in place, so I suited up, swam through some piss and shit flooded tunnels, guided Reed through his route with the help of this mounted sniper rifle, then finally got inside the Black Sapphire to reconnect with So-Mi. In order to get access to the tech that supposedly will save both of our lives, I'd need to grab the access codes and deal with the 2 netrunners who are supposedly providing them to Hansen. But first, roulette. Oh, Jesus. Hi.
N'est-ce pas, Abby? You weren't snooping just now, were you?
And turning in quite a handsome profit in the process. Oh my god, there's so much yapping. Now that I had the personality profiles of both French netrunners, I then jacked into a few tracking stations to pinpoint the location of their ride. I met back up with Saul, but I think I got roofied from here because when I woke up, I was in an unfamiliar place with somebody else's face. As I'm coming out of my sedative fog, Johnny's back and weighing in on my current situation, but I can't focus on a damn thing he's saying because something else kept pulling my attention.
Myself.
Now that I had a new changeable face, it was time to hijack the twins' ride, and promptly find out how shit's dealt with here in Dogtown.
What in the fuck?
Now that the twins are gone and we have their faces, personalities, and vehicle, we're ready for the next step of our plan, meeting up with Kurt. He tried tricking me with some leading questions, but I'm able to navigate the conversation smoothly, well, at least long enough for So-Mi to disarm the device and pull me away from the conversation. I'm elected to provide the access codes to the machine, and it all led up to this. Do I go with Reed or So-Mi? Well, so I may or may not have been consuming a certain green and purple herb as I played, and, well, I had planned to side with So-Mi, and I think I just read the word songbird and totally ignored the preceding word betray, and unintentionally chose the opposite of what I was going for. But I think I read somewhere that siding with her was like the worst of the 2 options. Regardless, I then take far too long finding a reliable way to kill everyone on this floor, but I eventually made my way through and stumbled into something I was not expecting. Kurt motherfucking Hansen.
Fuck.
These boss fights have been getting progressively harder and harder, and I doubt Mr. Hansen is gonna be any exception. Yep, that's pretty much what I thought. For starters, he starts the fight with a flashbang and a 3v1. Bitch move. Second off, he's got an assault rifle that's as powerful as a minigun and apparently never needs reloaded. Thirdly, once he does put his weapon down, he's then got like an infinite Sendevistan with attacks that are more or less a one-shot. Now there are 3 phases to this fight. Phase 1, Kurt was on my ass endlessly shooting his rifle, and he remained this way until I was able to take out both of his 2 shotgun-wielding cohorts. Now in phase 2, he'll stick to the upper balconies and fire down at me, but isn't able to hit me through this statue, so this phase is basically free damage. Phase 3 happens when his health hits 70% or lower. In this phase, all bets are off and it's all about baiting out one of his attacks, since this is the only time I had any breathing room. Anytime there was a stall in him chasing me with his Sandy, I turned around and popped a few shots off in him, chipping away at his health roughly 3% at a time. Now this took some finesse to pull off, since baiting out his attacks are extremely risky, since, like I said, many of them are a one-shot, or would just simply disable me long enough for him to hit me twice. Kurt was a tough fight, but in the end, it really boiled down to patience, persistence, and never getting too cocky. Now I just gotta talk to this guy, then talk with this girl. Fuck it, throw in Johnny there too. And lastly, this crazy fucker. Just kidding, back to Reed for more talking. And after all this, if you thought this sick game was over, nope, try again. Now I was up against 4 max tac operatives, all wielding their own personal Sendevistans. I stopped listening to the dialogue, but I think these guys are part of the team transporting Somi, and that's why we're here. Anyway, 3 of these fuckers were your quote-unquote standard combat soldiers, but there was also a netrunner with the ability to quick hack me to death vicariously through his teammates. Needless to say, this was bullshit. But being a master of bullshit myself, I had found some unique ways to combat these guys. Most of which consisted of me staying out of their walkable boundaries, firing from a safe distance, and rushing their netrunner anytime they would try and upload a dangerous quick hack. After this diabolical combination, one right after another, there's gotta be a break in combat, right? Hell no, man, we're right near the ending. I get some classic Johnny wisdom.
Gaze into the abyss, you'll find the abyss staring right back at you.
And take the plunge into the water below.
Cynosure, cyberspace equivalent of a nuke. Militech's answer to Arasaka's Soul Killer. Just the next edition of your average megacorp mega-dick contest.
Yep, sounds familiar. Then I get tricked into playing Alien Isolation, except instead of an alien, it's GLaDOS from Portal 2. Just as I'm about to stop her, the entire plot comes to a screeching halt, and I'm then fed an assortment of Somi's memories until the machine is powered down, the core is opened, and I can hand her over to the FIA, proving that, yes, you can beat Phantom Liberty with trash weapons, but why the fuck would you want to? That's been all for this challenge, and I can finally put it to rest. Thank you all, as always, for being here, and I'll see y'all in the next one.